He gave her everything. She took control of everything. From hotel girl to billionaire's wife. This is not just love. It's a lesson. Please do me a small favor, hit that subscribe button and join our family. Your support means the world to me and helps me share more amazing stories like this with you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let's dive into the story. Inside Lagos State, the peaceful and powerful walls of Banana Island, there lived a man whose name echoed in the ears of every businessman in the country. His name was Mr. Richard Moore. He was rich. At the age of 23. Others believed he inherited part of it. But nobody could deny one thing. Richard was a billionaire, and he looked the part. Every morning, his black Rolls-Royce Phantom would roll out of his mansion gates with security jeeps behind. The driver, sharply dressed in black, always opened the back door for him. His phone, 2 iPhones and 1 Samsung, always buzzing with messages from banks, politicians, CEOs, and foreign investors. He owned hotels, real estate, and a logistics company. When people spoke his name in Lagos, they did it with both respect and fear. But do you know the funny thing? With all the money, Richard was lonely. He had women, yes, plenty. But none stayed. Some wanted only his money, some wanted fame. A few even tried to trick him into marriage. He grew tired. He was getting older, 41 already. His mother kept saying, "Richard, marry now before it's too late." But he didn't want just any woman. He wanted someone who would see him, not his money. One Friday evening, after a stressful business meeting at Atlantic, Richard decided to rest his mind. He didn't go to his usual VIP club. Instead, he stopped by a luxury hotel in Victoria Island. He liked their restaurant on the rooftop. It was quiet, the kind of place where you could eat expensive food and watch the city lights in peace. As he stepped in, all eyes turned. The waiters stood straight. The manager quickly rushed to escort him up. But as he entered the rooftop restaurant, someone else caught his eyes. She wasn't wearing a ball gown or sitting with a glass of champagne. No, she was working wiping a glass behind the bar. She had long black hair tied in a ponytail, warm brown skin, and a sharp, confident face. Her eyes met Richard's for just a second, just one, but it was like lightning. "Good evening, sir," she said politely. Richard nodded. "Evening. What's your name?" She raised one eyebrow. "I'm Cindy. Can I get you something to drink?" He smiled. That voice. It wasn't shaky like most women who saw his face. It was bold, calm. "Just water for now," he said. Cold. That night, Richard didn't eat much. He kept glancing at Cindy. She didn't flirt with him like other ladies. Wasn't even smiling too much. Was just doing her job, calm, focused, confident. When she took a short break, he followed her gently to the back corner. "Are you free to talk?" She looked at him, confused. "About, just life," he said with a small laugh. "Okay, just 5 minutes." And so they talked. Cindy was 29. She grew up in Ibadan, lost her parents at 16, and came to Lagos to survive. She started working in hotels since 21. She wasn't ashamed of it. "This job feeds me. It may not look clean to people, but it's honest. I've seen worse," she said, her voice strong. Richard was impressed. No fake accent, no shaking eyelashes, no begging, just truth. That night, as he drove home in his quiet Rolls-Royce, he couldn't stop thinking about her. For the first time in a long time, a woman made Richard feel seen. He returned the next day. Sometimes he didn't even sit in the restaurant. He just stood near the bar, ordered something small, and waited for Cindy to talk during her break. At first, she didn't believe it. A billionaire, watching her, talking to her. But Richard wasn't faking it. He was consistent, gentle, respectful. He didn't ask her for anything dirty. He just wanted to know her. As they walked together after she closed, he asked, "Can I take you to dinner one day?" Cindy looked at him long and hard. "Do you know what people will say?" "I don't care," Richard said. That was how it started. People at the hotel whispered, "Why is the big man chasing Cindy? She's just a hotel girl. Maybe she charmed him. She must be very good in bed." Cindy ignored them. Richard didn't mind them. But Lagos gossip doesn't sleep. And as the relationship grew, so did the noise. For the next few weeks, Richard and Cindy became something no one expected: friends. Real friends. The type that text at midnight, laugh at silly jokes, and talk about life like there's no tomorrow. Every night after her shift, Richard would be waiting downstairs in his private car. Not to sleep with her, not to take her home, but just to talk. He would say, "Cindy, how was work today?" She would reply, "Stressful. One man spilled pepper soup on me and didn't even say sorry." And they would laugh. At first, Cindy was careful. Didn't trust easily. She had seen men lie. Had seen rich men promise love but offer pain. Some of them wore suits during the day and wicked faces at night. But Richard was different. He didn't brag about his cars or his houses. In fact, he only told her about his wealth when she asked directly. "Why are you always followed by that Jeep?" She once asked. "That's my security team. I'm kind of important." "Kind of," she laughed. "You own half of Lagos." He smiled. "Maybe 1/3. The first time Cindy visited his home, she was shocked. "Banana Island. You live here alone?" she whispered. "Too alone," Richard replied. He gave her a tour, and she didn't hide her surprise. "This fridge is bigger than my bathroom," she said, shaking her head. But what touched Richard the most wasn't how impressed she was. It was the way she stayed humble. She didn't snap pictures. Didn't ask for bags or clothes. Didn't even eat much. Just looked around and said quietly, "God, do it for me one day too." That night, as they sat by the pool, Cindy shared her story. "I've been working since I was 16, she said, her voice soft under the night sky. "I lost my parents in a fire accident. I've been surviving ever since." Richard listened. Every word sank into him like a stone dropped into water. "People look at me and think, bad girl, because I work in a hotel. But I've never slept with a customer. Never. I know who I am, and I don't sell my body." Richard's heart swelled. He had met women with fancy English, makeup, designer clothes, but none of them had depth like this one. After that night, their bond grew stronger. They started going out together. Richard didn't want cameras or gossip. He took her to a beach house in Lekki. Other times they drove out of town for short trips. She loved long drives and he loved to watch her laugh. Cindy told him everything. About the girls at the hotel who thought she was mad for not using her beauty to cash out. About the men who once tried to offer her money for just one night. "I refused. Even when I was hungry." "Why?" Richard asked. "Because I still want to sleep with my head high. Even if I have to drink Gary." Richard had never admired a woman like this before. She had beauty, yes, but also a sharp mind, and a stubborn spirit that refused to be broken. After dropping her off, Richard got home and sat in his room for hours. He was confused. "Am I falling in love?" he asked himself. His heart said yes. His brain, it said, "Be careful." But love doesn't listen to logic. It moves with emotion, and Richard's emotions were loud and clear. While they sat together at the beach, he looked at her and said, "Do you trust me?" Cindy looked away. "I'm trying to. Because I want to take care of you. I don't want you working at that hotel forever." She frowned. "Richard, are you trying to turn me into your side chick?" He laughed. "No, I want something real. Are you saying you want me to be your girlfriend?" He nodded. "More than that, maybe." She didn't say yes. But from that moment, something changed between them. She started calling him Richie. He started calling her C. She sent him voice notes with her morning voice, and he replied with jokes that made her laugh on her way to work. When she was tired, he sent her spa vouchers. When she was sick, he sent a private doctor. He didn't just love her, he began to honor her. And she didn't use him, she respected him. Richard's close friend Victor saw them together at a quiet Chinese restaurant in Ikoyi. He nearly dropped his phone. "Richard, are you mad?" Victor shouted when they were alone. "A hotel girl. Do you know how many men have passed through her?" Richard's face was calm. "You don't know her story," he replied. "She's not like what people think." Victor shook his head. "This girl will drag you down. Be careful, Richie. Be very careful." But Richard was already in too deep. He didn't care what anyone thought. To him, Cindy was not a hotel girl, was a strong, beautiful woman who had survived fire, hunger, and shame with her dignity still intact. He made a decision that night. He was going to marry her. Lagos is a city where news spreads like wildfire. Even private love becomes public gossip, especially when a billionaire is involved. By the third month of Richard and Cindy's quiet relationship, the whispers started. First in the hotel, then in business circles, then among his families. "Have you heard? That billionaire, Richard Moore, is dating a hotel girl. A girl from a bar. Can you imagine? These rich men, money does not come with sense." Richard ignored them. He believed love didn't need approval. But soon, the noise became louder than the peace in his heart. During a family dinner at his mother's house in Ikoyi, the fire started. His mother, Mrs. Margaret Moore, a classy and proud woman, sat opposite him with folded arms. "Richard, I heard something disturbing," she began sipping her wine. "What did you hear, Mum?" he replied, already knowing. "That you are seeing a woman from a hotel bar. A bartender." The whole room went silent. Even the maid stopped moving. Richard placed his fork down and calmly said, "Her name is Cindy. And yes, I'm seeing her." His younger sister, Amanda, gasped. His uncle coughed into his napkin. His mother, she dropped her glass. "Richard, are you trying to shame this family?" "Mum, she's not who you think she is. She works in a hotel, Richard. And so what? Many honest women work there. Please. A woman that serves drinks to strange men every night. She's seen too many things, done too many things. She's not wife material." Richard stood up. His voice was calm, but firm. "Cindy is more honest and respectful than most women I've met in my life. She works hard. She doesn't beg. She's clean. You're defending her over your own family. I'm defending what's right." After that dinner, the Cold War began. His mother stopped calling. His sister blocked him on WhatsApp. His cousins mocked him behind his back. Even in business meetings, he noticed the looks. One of his investors, Chief Lawson, whispered to him after a presentation, "You better wake up, young man. That kind of woman will ruin your name. Investors don't like noise." Richard smiled and replied, "Then maybe I need new investors." Back at the hotel, Cindy started noticing things too. Some of her co-workers stopped talking to her. One of the cleaners told her, "Madam, people say you are using jazz on that rich man." Cindy laughed. "If I had jazz, would I still be working here?" But deep inside, the pressure was growing. As they sat in Richard's car, parked outside her small apartment in Surulere, Cindy asked, "Richard, are you sure about this?" He turned to her, serious. "About what?" "About me." He took her hand. "I've never been more sure of anything. Let them talk. I know who you are. People are saying bad things about me, Rich. Things I can't even repeat. Let them talk, see." But even as Richard said those words, more fire was rising around him. His phone buzzed daily with messages from friends warning him. Victor, his closest friend, sent a voice note. "Bro, I've been your guy since day one. Please don't marry that girl. She may look innocent, but these hotel girls, they know how to play clean in front and dirty behind. Don't spoil your name, I beg." Another night, his old mentor, Mr. Williams, called him. "Richard, when your father was alive, he protected this name. Don't throw it away over a woman." Richard replied simply, "If my father were alive, he'd want me to marry someone who makes me happy. Not someone the world approves." But deep inside, Richard began to feel the pressure. He wasn't afraid of people. He was afraid of Cindy getting hurt. He knew Lagos. Today they call you queen, tomorrow they drag you on. Then one Sunday, after church, he took her for a drive around Lekki. They sat by the lagoon, watching the boats go by. "I want to marry you," he said suddenly. Cindy froze. "What? Let's get married. I'm ready." She blinked. "Even after everything they've said about me? Especially after everything." She began to cry. "Richard, I don't have family. I don't have anything to bring to the table except myself. That's all I need," he said. And just like that, the decision was made. Richard Moore, the billionaire of Banana Island, would marry a hotel lady named Cindy. People said it was foolish. But Richard said it was love. When Richard made up his mind to marry Cindy, there was no turning back. Didn't care if it made headlines. Didn't care if his friends laughed. Didn't even care if his mother cried for 1 week. He was in love. And he was ready to prove it. He planned a private dinner at one of the most luxurious rooftop restaurants in Lagos. The view overlooked the ocean. Cindy wore a simple but elegant red gown with no makeup, just lip gloss and confidence. Richard wore a black suit with a gold watch, nothing too loud, just enough to say "Elm serious." They ate. They laughed. They talked about life. Then Richard stood up. The musicians went silent. The waiters stopped moving. Cindy looked confused. "What's going on?" she whispered. Then she saw him go down on one knee. The restaurant guests gasped. A waiter brought over a small white box, a sparkling diamond ring inside. "Cindy," Richard began, "you've shown me love without asking for money, peace without pressure, and truth without pretending. Will you marry me?" The whole place held its breath. Cindy covered her mouth, shaking. Yes. Of course, yes. Everyone clapped. Some took pictures. It was a scene straight from a movie, only this time, it was real. By the time they got back to Banana Island that night, social media had already picked it up. Billionaire Richard Moore proposes to hotel girl. From bar to bride. Who is Cindy, the woman who stole a billionaire's heart? Is this love or jazz? Nigerians react to shocking engagement. People were divided. Some cheered for them. Wow, this is real love. God, bless me like this. Oh, she deserves it. Honest girl. Wahala. This man has lost his mind. Another billionaire remote controlled by hips and sweet voice. She must be using something from the Marine Kingdom. Richard ignored the noise. Cindy cried when she read some of the comments, but he wiped her tears and said, "They don't know you. Like I do. Forget them." Then came the wedding planning. And oh, what a wedding it was. Richard didn't want it loud. But Cindy insisted he invite his mother, even though she still wasn't speaking to him. "She's still your mum," Cindy said. "Let her come. If she insults me, I'll smile and move on." Richard respected that. He sent her an invitation. She didn't reply. But on the wedding day, just as the priest was preparing the rings, she walked in, wearing a gold lace dress, head held high. The whole church turned. Cindy smiled and walked up to her. "Good afternoon, Ma." Richard's mother looked at her, then gave a slow nod. "May God help you to remain who you say you are." That was the only blessing she gave. But for Cindy, it was enough. The wedding was magical, simple, classy, and filled with joy. White roses, gold decorations, soft piano music. Cindy looked like a queen in her long flowing gown. Richard's friends came, even the ones who once warned him. Some whispered behind their phones. But Cindy ignored them all. She walked down that aisle with her head high. During the reception, Richard gave a short speech. "Many of you doubted this love. Some of you called it foolish. But I call it divine. Because for once, I found someone who didn't want my bank account, just my heart." People clapped. Even the haters had to nod in silence. After the wedding, Cindy moved into the Banana Island mansion officially. No more waiting outside. No more sneaking around. She was now Mrs. Cindy Moore. Brand deals started rolling in. But Cindy stayed calm. She said, "Let me be a good wife first. Fame can wait." But little did Richard know. That same peaceful wife would soon turn into a storm. Not immediately. Not loudly. But slowly, like a lion watching quietly before the roar. For now, Richard was happy. He had found his bride. His queen. His peace. Or so he thought. At first, married life felt like paradise for Richard. He woke up to breakfast in bed. Cindy served him fresh orange juice with a smile. She called him my king and rubbed his shoulders every evening after work. She stopped working at the hotel and started managing big things around the house. He was happy. Even his driver, Daniel, said, "Oga, Madam Day trio. She day take care of you well." But what no one saw was how the change started. Like tiny drops of oil in clean water. It began with Cindy's tone. Richard asked her politely, "See, are you coming with me to the business dinner tonight?" She replied without looking up, "I'm not in the mood. I don't like the way your friends look at me." Richard tried to explain, "It's just dinner. They'll get used to you." She turned sharply, "Why must I always try to please them? If they don't like me, that's their business." Richard was shocked. Cindy had never raised her voice before. But he let it go. Maybe she's stressed, he told himself. A few days later, she called his stylist and canceled all his usual outfits. "My husband doesn't wear black all the time anymore," she said. Next thing, Richard's wardrobe was filled with bright colors: mustard yellow, sky blue, even pink suits. When he tried to joke about it, she frowned. "Are you saying my fashion sense is bad?" He laughed nervously. "No, I just like what I'm used to." She replied, cold. "Then maybe you're not ready for change." Then came the friends issue. Richard's best friend, Victor, came by to say hello. They had a long history, secondary school boys turned business partners. But when Cindy saw Victor's car outside the gate, she told the security, "Next time, call me before allowing that one in." Richard was confused. "Why? See, it's Victor," she replied with a tight smile. "I don't like his energy." Victor only stayed 10 minutes before she made up a lie about being tired and dragged Richard inside. That was the last time Victor visited. Even his business meetings were affected. Richard dressed in a navy suit and told Cindy, "Big meeting today. Oil deal. Cross-border partners. She looked up from her phone. Cancel it. What? Cancel. I need us to go shopping. I want us to spend the day together. Richard was shocked. Cindy, this deal is worth millions. So money is more important than me. Richard stood there, torn. He had never missed a big meeting before. But to avoid a fight, he canceled. And lost the deal. At home, things got worse. She controlled the cooks. She told the cleaners to stop entering her wing of the mansion. She locked the wine cellar and said, "Only I can serve drinks from now on. I don't want your old friends spoiling things." The house became a place of rules and silence. No more loud laughter from Richard's end. No more surprise visits. No more music in the garden. Only Cindy's soft footsteps and her voice giving orders. Richard started to feel it. He was losing himself. Bit by bit. His words didn't matter anymore. His choices were controlled. And yet, he said nothing. Why? Because if he complained, Cindy would cry. She'd say things like, "So now I'm a bad wife because I want the best for you. Is it wrong to protect my marriage from people who hate me?" And she always added, "You chose me. Don't forget that." The public saw her smiling on posting pictures of her and Richard holding hands, tagging him with hearts. But inside the mansion, the king was becoming a quiet servant. Richard called his mother for advice. She picked up after the third ring. "So now you remember you have a mother?" she said coldly. Richard sighed. "Mummy, I need to talk to someone." She was quiet for a moment. "I warned you, but you were blinded by sweet words and hips. Now, you're seeing the other side. Mummy, she's changed." "No, Richard, she didn't change. She just removed her mask." That night, Richard sat in the garden alone. He looked around the mansion he had built. The lights, the marble floors, the gold taps, everything looked beautiful, but it didn't feel like home anymore. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "What have I done?" But even as that question echoed in his heart, Cindy was inside the house, scrolling through Instagram, smiling as followers praised her beauty. And planning the next big thing she would control. By the 6th month of marriage, Cindy was no longer the quiet wife people once knew. She had fully taken over. Not just the house, Richard's wardrobe. Now, she wanted his wallet and the world to watch her shine. It started with little things. She began shopping every day. She ordered luxury handbags from Italy, jewelry from Paris, wigs from Brazil. One of the staff noticed she never wore the same outfit twice. "Madam, go out for 1 hour, come back with 5 shopping bags," the cook whispered. When Richard asked her about the spending, she smiled sweetly and said, "I'm only buying what a billionaire's wife should have. Or do you want me to look like a housemaid?" He sighed. "Cindy, you can look good without wasting millions." Her smile vanished. "So I'm wasting your money now? Well, I don't come from money like you, so let me enjoy mine. Please." And that ended the conversation. Soon, she started inviting people Richard didn't know into the house. Loud girls with long nails and loud laughter. They filled the mansion with noise, music, and selfies. They drank expensive wine from his private cellar. They used his custom pool. They filmed TikTok videos in his cinema room. Richard would come home to see strangers dancing in his living room. "Cindy, who are these people?" "My girls. My sisters. My day ones. Why are they in my house without my permission?" "It's our house, Richard. Not just yours. Or is it now a crime to have friends?" He kept quiet. Because when he raised his voice, and every time she cried, she said the same thing. "You want to throw me out like I'm nothing. I knew it. You all think hotel girls are trash." Richard couldn't win. No matter how gentle he was, Cindy turned it around and made herself the victim. The spending got worse. Cindy began flying to Dubai every 2 weeks to rest. She would go with 3 of her girls, shop for days, return with luxury boxes, and post everything online. Dubai Queen. Soft life. Mrs. Money. People online called her a fashion goddess. But Richard's staff whispered behind his back, "Oga no get peace again." His office staff began to notice he was distracted. He stopped attending meetings. He missed deadlines. He lost an important contract. His business partner called him and said, "Richard, you're not the same man anymore. This marriage is draining you." And then came the big party. Cindy's 30th birthday. She planned it without asking Richard. Her walking down a golden staircase while fireworks exploded behind her. The invitation card read, "Cindy Moore, the Queen of Lagos." Richard wasn't even mentioned. When he saw the flyer, he asked, "You're calling yourself queen now?" "Of course. I earned it. The night of the party, Richard watched as his mansion turned into a nightclub. Girls danced on tables. Men popped bottles. Cameras flashed. Loud music shook the walls. He sat in a corner ignored, tired, sad. One of the waiters whispered to him, "Sir, are you okay?" He nodded, but his eyes said otherwise. The next morning, Richard entered his home office and saw something shocking. Cindy had transferred $80 million to a private account the day before for birthday expenses. He confronted her. "Cindy, $80 million, for what exactly?" She was chewing gum and scrolling on her phone. "Don't stress me this morning. I told you everything would be premium. What's your problem?" "My problem is that you're spending without respect." She dropped her phone. "Excuse me, who made the money?" "You, right, but who made you happy?" "Me. You were lonely and boring until I came. Let me live." Richard's voice rose. "Cindy, this isn't marriage. This is madness." Cindy looked him in the eye and said, "Then maybe you should have married someone your mother picked." That sentence broke him. That night, he slept in the guest room. No apology. Just silence. In the weeks that followed, Cindy grew bolder. She changed the gate code to the mansion without telling him. Sacked 2 of his oldest staff. Changed the chef because, in her words, his food tastes like poverty. Richard tried to talk to her calmly one day. "See, we need to fix this. I don't feel like myself anymore. I'm tired." She rolled her eyes. "Then rest. Or better still go and cry to your mummy." That was it. The love was dying, and Richard was fading into a shadow of himself. His business was suffering. Health was declining. And still, he said nothing to the public. Because the world saw Cindy the queen. But he was living with Cindy the controller. And the worst part, he still loved her. Or at least, he thought he did. Richard Moore was no longer the powerful billionaire the world once knew. He was still rich, yes. But he was now a broken man. His face had changed pale, thinner, always deep in thought. He no longer smiled. He no longer joked. He barely attended meetings. Cindy had taken everything: his attention, his home, his pride. The house no longer felt like his. His staff feared her. His friends had stopped visiting. His business had lost 2 major contracts. His investors were whispering behind closed doors. Even his mother called one day and said, "Son, this woman has stolen your mind. If you don't wake up, you'll wake up one day in the street." But Richard didn't want a failed marriage. He didn't want to be laughed at. He kept praying for a change. The final straw came one Saturday afternoon. Cindy threw a private pool party without telling him. He was upstairs reading when he heard music, loud, vulgar, uninvited. When he stepped out, he saw half-naked women dancing in his pool, some smoking, some pouring champagne on each other. And Cindy, she was on a float, sunglasses on, smiling like a celebrity. Richard lost it. "Cindy," he shouted across the pool. Everyone froze. "Turn this off. Now." Cindy stood and walked over with attitude. "Why are you shouting like a madman in front of my friends? Our house is not a nightclub. Oh please. You're not even fun to live with. No one likes your boring energy. Get out of the pool, now." She smiled in front of everyone and whispered loud enough for all to hear. "Then divorce me." The party ended. Richard sat alone that night in his home office, lights off. He looked around at the place he had once built with love and pride. The walls now held noise, not peace. He picked up his phone. He called his lawyer. The courtroom was quiet as Cindy sat with her celebrity lawyer, fake tears in her eyes, big sunglasses on. She claimed emotional abuse, controlling behavior, that she was never treated like a wife. Richard didn't say much. He brought evidence: bank statements, video clips, testimonies from staff. The judge looked at Cindy with confusion. Then gave the verdict. Marriage dissolved. No spousal support awarded. Parties free to go their separate ways. Cindy flipped. "I want half. Half of everything." The judge slammed the gavel. "You brought nothing to this marriage but noise and trouble. Case closed." Richard sat in the garden again. This time, the house was peaceful. No music. No strangers. His phone buzzed. It was Victor. "Bro, I heard. Are you okay?" Richard replied. "I'm breathing again. For the first time in a long time." Cindy tried to fight online. She did interviews claiming Richard was heartless. Said he abandoned her. That he was fake holy and secretly weak. But the truth had already come out. People had seen the videos. The proof. The spending. The fame she craved quickly turned into shame. Richard sat across from a talk show host. You were once one of the most admired men in Lagos. What happened? Richard smiled weakly. I fell in love with a mask. And when it fell off, I didn't recognize who I married. Do you regret marrying Cindy? He paused. No, because now I know what love is not. What's your advice to young men out there? He looked directly into the camera and said, don't marry out of pity, loneliness, or noise. A pretty face without peace. He took time off, healed, and later found love again, quiet love. So, that's how the story of Richard and Cindy ended. What started as sweet love turned into silent control, hidden pain, and public embarrassment. Richard gave his heart, his home, and his peace. But Cindy gave him pressure, pride, and problems. In the end, love without respect is not love. Marriage without peace is a prison. And choosing someone just because of pity, beauty, or excitement can lead to a lifetime of regret. Richard thought he found a queen. But he married someone who wore a crown of control. He learned the hard way. But you, my viewer, you can learn from his story. What do you think? Was Richard too soft or too loyal? Would you have walked away earlier? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I read every single one. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more powerful stories, turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, share this video with your friends and family. More emotional, true life-inspired stories are coming your way every week. Real drama, real lessons, real entertainment. This is your channel name where stories speak truth. Thank you so much. I love you all. Bye.